All right. Well, hello everyone from the world. This is WYD Rocks, a collaboration between worldyouthday.com and WYDcentral.org. And we're back in Lent of 2023. I am Dario, joined by my good friend Deacon Pedro. Welcome, sir.
Ooh, hello. Deep into Lent. Well, not deep.
Well,
Lent.
we're started. It's Friday of Lent, so it's our first Friday where we're now fasting and abstaining on the journey of that 40 days with our blessed Lord.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what do you do for Lent? Just curiosity, like what is a family thing that you do?
As a family, we don't do anything.
Well,
Well,
individually, I
no,
mean,
and as a family, I mean, it's just really just my wife and me. So,
well,
the
sure, you
boys,
kids are all grown, and so
they're
they're not
all
necessarily in the
they're
house.
out of the house. So God knows what they're doing. They're probably still just doing like giving up this or that or the other. Um, um, like I'm a big believer in the like giving up like hot showers or giving up
Comfort.
sleeping on the bed, although I haven't done that this year, um, or hot showers. But like it's like try to come up with something that's gonna be a little uncomfortable. So like not eating desserts to me, it's not that uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
or like it's like you give up alcohol or something like that, and then it's like then all of a sudden in Lent it's when you get invited to all the dinner parties and you have all these receptions and travel, and it's like so it makes it even harder to give up alcohol because everybody's having wine receptions and things like that. So um uh but I'm also a big believer in, instead of giving something up, putting something on. So
Yeah.
what else am I doing? Am I trying to go to daily mass, or am I trying to, or just doing the food bank every week instead of just once between now and Easter, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I find it ironic, when people want to say, I want to give up sweets. And, we do the same thing with these New Year's resolutions where
Yeah.
we say, well, we want to lose weight and we'll buy a membership to a gym for a month. And then in reality, you just give up because it's like, it's not going to change anything. But there's something that has bothered me for a long time. And because, I live in America and so in the United States, and there's always this problem during Lent when you say you want to give up sweets. Guess who comes knocking on your door during Lent? Selling cookies. It's like,
Yes.
come on. Out of all times, you guys could be selling cookies, and I want to support like any good organization that is trying to do good
Well,
things.
so you could say sweets or dessert, so they don't qualify, or you could just like get the chocolate mint ones. Do you guys have the chocolate mint ones in
Oh
the
yeah,
US?
those thin
And
mints are amazing.
put those in the freezer and save
That's
them
true.
because they're super amazingly so much better frozen.
Oh no, totally. But then open the freezer when you're trying to get stuff, and then there it is. There
There's
it
a
is.
temptation.
It's staring right at you.
I no, I honestly believe that as soon as you give something up, it doesn't matter what it is, that's when it's going to be more, the temptation is going to be more there.
Oh
So
yeah, totally,
I
100%. I
know,
agree.
I
And
know.
that's the irony of it all, because you're trying to say no, no, and then it's right in your face.
Yeah.
Even the people, like I remember living in Seattle and thinking like I'm gonna give up coffee, and literally every block there's a coffee
Yeah, a
shop. It's
Starbucks.
like,
Yeah,
oh
I
my
know.
gosh, come on now.
Or or yeah, it's like the people that it's like, how many times do you skip breakfast and you're fine, but then on the day that you say it's like I'm going to fast today, then like by 10 in the morning, like you're starving, and it's like, what? I never eat before 10 in the morning. Why am I starving? It's because you made a conscious choice to fast,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
But see, but there's also the other add-on aspect of it that you mentioned is like taking out something on.
Yeah, I think that's
What
so much
about
better.
those $9 cups of coffee that we buy? Let's just be honest. Those of you out there who go to these coffee shops and you buy yourself a candy bar in a cup, because that's what it is essentially. I mean, let's not lie. It's a candy bar with a bunch of coffee in it. The whole, and all the sweets that come with it. And then you get the bill and it's like $8,
It's yeah.
$9.
Yeah.
Why not take those $9 that you were originally going to use to buy a cup of coffee and then donate it to get food for the
Yeah,
homeless?
or I mean, not to put brands, pit brands against each other, but instead of going to that particular unnamed coffee shop that has more expensive coffee, like I'm not saying give up coffee if you really need your coffee, but then go maybe to the other brand that's a little cheaper
Yes.
and spend $1.50 on your coffee, and then take those $7 and 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 give them to charity. So that's, I think, that makes a difference. Don't just save the money, but use it. So, I mean, for a long time, every time we go to the grocery store, we just pick a couple extra items so that we're always adding stuff to the food bank, instead of joining just that once, Thanksgiving campaign or the Christmas campaign, or I guess there's an Easter campaign. I don't know.
No, but those are all great ideas. The other thing I would also
Yeah,
say is go to one of those, bulk stores and buy a bunch of like snack bars, and then have that in your car for
that's
the.
a great,
And then when
yes,
you drive around and you see someone at the side of the road, and you're thinking like, "Well, I don't have any cash to give them."
that's true. You give
Give them
them
a
a
candy
granola
bar.
bar. Yeah,
Yeah, a granola
absolutely.
bar
Yeah.
or a candy
I
bar.
actually, I actually always have coins in the car, for that very reason. But I love your idea. It's like, have some granolas or something that you can just give that person, and it'll make a huge difference. And you know what? Like, smile at that person and talk to that person.
Absolutely.
That's even probably more important.
And maybe put in a pair of socks, clean underwear, something, something different. They might not be hungry. They might just appreciate you giving them
They just want,
socks.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and see, I think I hear this a lot too. It's, oh, that's a first world problem that you're struggling to, with what you're going through. Like there's people in some countries that never have socks on. You know what though? Like maybe because we are blessed with over and beyond what we need, this is an opportunity. Again, Lent is always an opportunity to
Always an
do something
opportunity.
different.
And March, in, I don't know about where you are in South there, but in Canada in March, you need socks.
Yes. Yes, no, I agree.
Yeah,
And when I was living in Seattle, you definitely needed
you
socks.
need
And
socks.
in
Yeah,
Georgia, where I'm at now, socks are even important. Socks are always important, but these are like basic things that we
yeah.
provide. And
It's
I'll try also thinking about like a toothbrush and toothpaste
yeah,
or
it's the gesture, I think,
deodorant.
more than anything else.
Yes.
It's the gesture. Um,
No one's going to say no thank you for that. They're going to
no, no,
appreciate.
they're not. They're not. And in fact, like what we were saying last time, the you're not, I mean, you can think that you're doing it and it's making a difference to the person that you're doing it, but it's changing you. It's
Yes.
like that prayer, right? So do the gesture, engage that person. It'll make your heart bigger, and then say a prayer for that person, because
Yeah.
that's, you don't know what their needs are, but God does. And maybe that extra little, not that God needs us to remind him what he needs to do, but again, it's not to change God, to change you. So the prayer
And this
changes
kind of
you, the
ties into what we
almsgiving
talked.
changes you. Yeah.
We talked a little bit about this last week with the whole idea that we need to be able to provide for the needs of others
Yeah, to help
spiritually.
each other.
We have to help each other out. And that means, that question where Jesus was asked, whatever you've done for the least of my brothers and sisters, you've done unto me. Who are my brothers and sisters? Well, anyone whom you encounter.
Hmm.
When were you homeless, Lord? When were you hungry, Lord? Everyone whom you saw.
Yeah.
Whatever you did for them, you did for me. That's huge. And that kind of goes in hand with what we're talking about in this meeting. I'm already jumping the gun because I love this gospel passage, but let's
Yeah.
just jump right in and let's take a look. Now that we're
Well,
preparing
I'm
ourselves.
interested in knowing what you think the connection is, because I was going to say that sometimes that person that we're invited to engage with is the person that we don't like, or that
Yes.
we disagree with, or that we think it has betrayed us. And that's exactly who Jesus reaches out to in the meeting today in that gospel passage. Matthew, the tax collector. Not one single Jewish person thought that Matthew was a good Jew. They hated him. So, and Jesus calls him. So that's the focus of today's meeting number 5. If Jesus calls Matthew, who was set apart, and I mean, it's hard now, I think, with now that everybody's been watching The Chosen. I don't know if a lot of our viewers have watched The Chosen, but it's hard for me to talk about Matthew and not see the character from The Chosen, that
Yeah.
actor, because it's such a brilliant portrayal of this person who was an outsider, and
Yes.
then because of his function as tax collector, was even more an outsider to the extent that his father disinherits him. um so that's a whole other story. But if Jesus calls Matthew, then what, you think Jesus is not going to call you?
But
How
yeah,
does
but
Jesus
even look
call
at the
you,
other
right?
characters in the Gospels. Like you have Zacchaeus.
Yeah, another
No
tax
one would
collector.
have, no one would have thought Zacchaeus. And then look at St. Augustine. No one would have thought St. Augustine would have had a change of heart and done what he did. Or we're looking at St. Francis, for example, we forget sometimes,
Yeah, I think a lot of saints and definitely gospel, what can we call them? Gospel stars, um, have had that experience. And the activity in this meeting. So again, every meeting begins with an activity, and this one actually does not have a theme song. I don't know what good theme song from a previous World Youth Day would be good for this one. I'll let Dario give his opinion.
Oh gosh.
But we're gonna look at a painting. So we've had music, we've had activities, we've had words, and now we're gonna look at a painting, and the painting is Caravaggio's The Call of Matthew or The Call of Levi. And that'll be part of the activity. But the way that the room is going to be set up is that you're going to have different objects like coins, a bag of money, pens, a computer, things that have to do with the stock market. And then you're going to ask the participants to guess, like, what do these items remind you of? And so they're going to guess that it reminds them of a bank or paying your taxes or the stock exchange or something,
Yeah, but I looked
right?
at this
And
picture and I thought McDonald's. Like, I mean,
it
it's
does.
like,
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. It could be, but it exactly has something to do with money,
yeah,
placing
yeah.
an order, paying for an order. So that's
It's
that's
tough.
an icebreaker to get you into the conversation. What do these things remind us of? What is important about this? What is good about this? What is bad about this? Good about business? Um, and not to forget that there's a connection here with World Youth Day, of course, because World Youth Day requires money to
Yes.
for it to happen. People have pay, and for some people, it's a lot of money to go to a World Youth Day. Um, and so, how do we help each other financially, or help those who do not have as much financially, so that they can participate? Not just in World Youth Day, but actually, some people just need the basics of life, as we were talking earlier in terms
I,
of giving, almsgiving.
I think I got it. I think I got the theme song of a World Youth Day that kind of makes sense with this.
Okay,
1993, We Are One Body.
we are one body. Yeah, that's a good
Because you know
one.
what? One body in Christ, and we do not stand alone.
That's true.
Because no matter if we are the saint or the sinner in this group, we are not alone. I know that they did not decide to add this in there, maybe because Dana sang that song, and maybe Dana's rendition of it was definitely more pump up and circumstance. And then if someone plays it now,
I
everyone's
don't
like,
know.
it sounds
That's a
like a
good.
parish hymn, but we forget sometimes that
No, it was 1990. Yeah, no, that was a good theme song. We
it
are one
was, it
body.
was. I like
Yeah.
it. I mean,
There
it's
you go.
still,
That's our suggestion.
there you
Play
go.
Dana's "We Are One Body." Um, so the other connection that I was going to say is that there's a connection between um, World Youth Day, the church, and the business world.
yeah,
Sponsors, corporations, and in many ways, it's in many cases, a lot of those corporations actually become sponsors of an event, a religious event like World Youth Day, um, and help support providing water bottles or providing whatever other corporate sponsorship that they might be providing, and we can't ignore that those partnerships are important. Money is not a bad thing. It can be used in a bad way, but it's not in itself a bad thing. So that's part of the conversation that we're being invited to have during this meeting through this painting that we can see here on the screen right now. This is Caravaggio's The Call of Levi. And so on the right side, you see Jesus pointing. And on the left
and here's
side,
Matthew
there's
right there.
Matthew pointing at himself, going, "Who, me?" And
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to do a whole Visio Divina here with this painting, but there's a
I love
whole.
it. Visio Divina.
Yeah, it's a
I love
thing.
it.
It's a thing. That is a
I got to
thing.
get into that then because
Yeah, it's a thing.
that's a great
So,
idea.
but it's the. I mean, this painting is so striking because of the contrast between the light and the dark, and where's the light shining. I mean, there's lots of opportunities for conversation here, as we read the gospel from the Gospel of Luke about the call of Levi or Matthew. Levi and Matthew are the same person. Um, and I think it's believed that this is the actual gospel writer who wrote the Gospel of Matthew. So it's interesting that it's not in the Gospel of Matthew, but in the Gospel of Luke. Um, So lots of there to. You can also look at the characters in the painting. As last week we looked at the characters in the story. Here we can look at the characters in the painting. There are 5 men seated around the table with Matthew, 4 men with Matthew. There's someone with Jesus. Like, who are these tax collectors? Who are you? Who are you in the painting, or who are you in the story? So lots to talk about there. With that, that'll probably take the bulk of your meeting. And
But I do
then,
want to add to this because it's something that a lot of people forget. When you look at this gospel passage and the question that is asked by the Pharisees, why do you eat and drink with
yeah,
tax collectors and sinners? It's not Jesus being inclusive. I think this is a danger that we have. Like, we're looking at this like, oh, look, see, Jesus isn't being inclusive. No, he's not being inclusive. He's calling everyone to conversion.
yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah,
calling everyone into his loving embrace of the loving Father. He's calling everyone to come to him. No matter how bad of a sinner we've been, no matter how bad of a sinner we are, and no matter how bad of a sinner we will continue to be,
yeah.
God is inviting and calling you.
That's exactly it. And that's exactly what this is all about ultimately. And it's interesting because I think, I don't know if it was the first meeting or maybe the second meeting where we were talking about discernment and vocation and what is your vocation. I think that theme comes up again here. Everybody is called. Christ is calling you to be a disciple. How is Christ calling you? What is he calling you to? That's your vocation. So you could remind the participants about what you talked about 3 meetings ago. And then, of course, we continue in the meeting with there's a sharing with there's some questions there. The guide, the sharing, praying, continue your prayer. There's a quote from Pope Francis in the context of the prayer, so you can contemplate yourself in the painting through prayer. There are actually 4 texts by Pope Francis.
And this is where you're going to have to do some Lexio.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there were 4 texts. So I'm a little lost here now as to what how to use those 4 texts, but I'm sure it'll be clear. So these texts are all from Christus Vivit. And Christus Vivit was the document that the Pope wrote, the exhortation that he wrote after the synod on youth and vocational discernment. So of course has to do with vocation, discerning your vocation. So all the texts have to do with vocation, with discernment. And so listening to those texts, I think, will help the young people, the participants, help in their prayer as they reflect on what maybe Christ might be calling you. And then there's a beautiful Taizé song that they suggest that you use at the end of the exercise. I love how the in the guide that we're showing you, the title of the song is in Portuguese, but if you look at the leader's guide, they actually give it to you in English.
Yeah.
So but again, in Portuguese, tu és meu, o meu, it's like, you are my God, in you I trust.
Trust, yeah.
But in the English translation, it says, "Oh God, keep me safe, for I trust in you." So the English translation is, "Oh God, keep me safe," not "Tu és o meu Deus." You are not. It's not. You are my God. But it's not easy to translate literally songs, but it's the same idea. You keep me safe, for I trust in you. The pathway to life, you reach me. With you is peace and joy in all fullness. And of course, if you find the Taizé recording of this, just Google Taizé and you can find the recording. You'll probably have it in German because that's the original language of that particular Taizé chant. And there's the words in German. And I'm not going to try to say it in German, Dario. I'll let you practice
No, I'm good.
German.
I'm good.
Yeah,
I
let's not.
butchered too much of it that my friends from Germany have
Yeah,
said.
let's
So
not do that.
I agree.
Let's not do it. Maybe we can get our listeners, if you speak German or you're in Germany, you're a German, send us the proper pronunciation
Yes.
of this song in German, this Taizé chant. And then, as we always do, we conclude by listening to a quote from the Catechism.
Which is a good one because it's a call to discipleship.
A call to discipleship, exactly. And then the personal project. So what I'm going to start calling just homework. What are you going to do, right? And again, so here's the connection again. So Mary rose and went with haste. The paralytic rose. Jesus says, rise up. And Matthew also, rising up, he followed him. Jesus says, follow me. And Matthew rises and follows. So there's that connection with arise, of rise up. Rising up, he followed him. And that's concludes meeting number 5.
And before we wrap up today's session as well, I just want to do a little plug for a cool little book right here,
Oh,
Christus Vivit, from our good friend Gerard Gallagher from Ireland, who has gone through Christus Vivit and has given you a very good analysis to each chapter. He does a really good job really putting emphasis on this. He's probably gonna, if he sees this video, he's probably gonna laugh a little bit, but he definitely provides us a little framework on how to read Christus Vivit. You can find
yeah.
this on veritas.ie website. It's from Ireland because that's where Gerard is at. And this book is available anywhere in the world. It's called Exploring Christus Vivit by our friend Gerard Gallagher. Had to throw his name.
Yeah,
in here.
go full screen so they can see it properly.
Yo, yes. Why don't we do this? Well, here we go.
Yeah, and in
let's
fact, the
stop
book, so
sharing.
it's edited by Gerard, but it's compiled. It's compilations of different people from around the world. So I think um uh I'm blanking out on who contributed, who the contributors
So
are.
let's see,
But
Sister Natalie
Paul
Becker, who
Jarzembowski,
we had.
I think Paul
Yes,
Jarzembowski contributed to it.
yes, Paul Jarzembowski's in there. Yep. Let's see here. Michael Remery from France. We have not had him on the show, but we're going to try to get him on there. Archbishop Eamon Martin, whom I know really well. He's great. Teresa Carvalho from
From England as well, yes.
right. Yep, from England, right? But Sister Natalie Beckert, who you guys remember we had on our show a couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
is there too. And yeah, so this is great.
It's a great
Great little
companion
handout, and plus I have the signed copy by Gerard Gallagher
by Gerard
himself.
Gallagher.
There we go. Anyways, I had to throw his
Now
name.
you're showing off.
Well, we'll get him. You know, if you guys ask him nicely, I'm sure he'll give you an autograph. I'm sure you could probably find his book and bring it to you to yourself with World Youth Day, and you never know, you might run into him, and then he might say,
Right.
"Yeah, I'll be glad to sign this booklet."
Yeah.
Just saying, right? Because or else, just do it. Just go out and buy it, and then share it with your classmates, right?
You had to say just do it in there. You had to get that in there.
I mean, as
Just
much
do
as
it.
I know Nike Incorporated has the
The
trademarks
copyright,
of that
yeah, the
statement,
trademark on just do it.
there's nothing
Gerard.
wrong with talking about rising up like Matthew here, right?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Just
Rise
do
up
it.
like Matthew. Like, look, if, and I love this one about like, if God can do wonders in my life, he can do great things in yours. I mean, that's what I think of like when I read people like St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Francis of Assisi, St. Augustine, right? They were normal, ordinary people, nothing extraordinary about them. But I even love about this whole idea that, every saint was once a sinner and every sinner has a future.
Yeah.
Like we have the opportunity for, God will shower us with his grace. He is calling us by name. And right now, if you're not seeing the signs as they're all connecting us to Lisbon, now that we're almost 5 months away from it, God is calling you to this special encounter that we're all going to share together in Lisbon in 2023. How amazing this opportunity will be. How grace-filling it will be. It will be like Christ in that room with Matthew sitting at the table going, are you talking to me?
Yep.
And this is the powerful thing about World Youth Day. When the Holy Father speaks to young people at World Youth Day, it'll be like Christ speaking directly to you.
And no joke, it will happen. You will be called. So maybe that, not to scare people away, but what an exciting opportunity to be in a place where you will be called. We've heard tons of stories of people who felt that call very clearly during World Youth Day.
Yeah, from married couples.
Married
Jeff
couples.
Shinstock, who we had on our show from Lincoln, Nebraska, to Father Raphael
Father Capo, who felt the
who
call to
got
the
it.
priesthood
Yeah.
when he was a teenager. Yeah. And again, not to scare people, but because it doesn't have to be something so dramatic either. But what is that call to that? What is that little conversion that's going to happen?
Right. I was even thinking of Father Rob Gallia. I mean, he was a seminarian
Yeah.
who felt strongly now that, yes, keep going in this path because this path is what God really wants you to do. And maybe you're already on that journey. And maybe this is just going to be a confirmation of that
Yeah,
vocation.
exactly. So
Look,
yeah,
there's a lot of potential, everyone.
yeah,
So, I mean, Lent is upon us. Take this as an opportunity of this courting invitation to be like Matthew and start thinking like, here's the Lord right in my midst. What do I do? Do I rise up? Do I go quickly to him? Or do I ponder in a moment? Do I take the opportunity to properly discern it? Matthew gave up everything he had, the comforts of the world,
give up everything.
everything. And this goes back to the young man in Delecti Amici, right? What must I do to gain eternal life, Lord? Give up everything you have and follow me.
Yeah.
Matthew was able to do it. What's stopping you and I to do it as well? Deep thought. I know. Sorry.
Deep thought. No, it's good, and it's a good Lenten thing. I think a lot of times we think that Lent is a time to like beat ourselves over and penance and all that. But give yourself something positive. But maybe read Christus Vivit during Lent, or maybe make that vocational prayer. What are you calling me to, Lord, during your Lenten prayer time? So that when you get to Easter, maybe you're a little closer to that understanding of that discernment. I think that's a great little extra thing that we can do during Lent.
Yes, it is. And yes, it is. And this is all the time we have for today's show. And we can't wait because now we are officially halfway through these preparatory meetings to get us ready for World Youth Day. And we hope that this is helping you prepare your group to really get ready and excited for this amazing opportunity that is yet to come in Lisbon. Please let us know by leaving your comments below on what you think of these meetings, what ideas you have. I know that many people have been emailing us directly, but it would be nice to also for you to share in our social media account and others what it is exactly that you feel that you've done that has worked, or what things you suggest for people to do during these specific meetings. Either way, like the whole point of this is a suggested meeting that the World Youth Day offices in local offices, that is in Lisbon, have encouraged us to do to get us ready for this special encounter that we're all going to have in August of 2023. It's only
now, sorry to interrupt, but now that it's crunch time, because we're on the final stretch, if you have any particular specific questions, because once we're done with the meetings, we're going to start looking at more practical things before August is going to be here before you know it. So if you have any questions or things that you're struggling with or not sure what to do or how to do them, also send us those questions, and we can dedicate a whole episode to answering your questions as they come.
And we hope that we'll try to do some live shows eventually. We're working on it. There's a lot of issues with social media nowadays that we're having a hard time trying to figure out how to make it work without causing too much commotion. We've also had some interesting situations where we went live and then
it didn't go.
Right? I mean, the Holy Spirit
had other plans.
Yes, it always does. But we love pre-recording these because these are opportunities for us to really put time and effort for you. The viewer, the listener, because we want you to prepare for this amazing encounter that is yet to come. Guys, from all of us at worldyouthday.com and wyddcentral.org, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, God bless you guys and see you soon.